Well, we've looked at a lot of pyramids here on the channel, a lot of the ones that are not well known in Egypt and so on, but also others found in ancient China, which at the time wasn't part of ancient China, and ones all around the Mediterranean and up through Europe. There's one in Greece that actually, by calibrating from using the Great Pyramids, is actually predating the pyramids that are in Egypt, which is kind of strange when everybody keeps trying to say that the Greeks got all their stuff from the Egyptians. Whenever my research shows that a lot of it in their mythology comes from well-known Sumerian type of tales. So are there other ones there too? Well, you might be surprised that there are pyramids even in Ireland. Join me, won't you? So in this area of Ireland here, shown in red, known as Offaly, there are a couple of pyramids that are shown there. Now, they don't predate the other pyramids that we all well know and so on, but it is another showing of pyramids that are here. And the first one we'll look at is known as Kinety Pyramid. Now, it's found near the village of Kinety, so they put that onto it, and it's actually right behind St. Finian's Church of Ireland here. And then they have the St. Bernard family, and here's the walkway leading back to it. It's not a giant pyramid, but more like the ones that you find up in ancient Kemet whenever the viceroys of Egypt were ruling over them, the pyramids that got repurposed later up there. But still well-made pyramids, and if you want to say pyramids, this is definitely one. Now, it's built for the wealthy Bernard family, somewhere between 1830 and 1834 to be a tomb for them, and it actually ended up being a mausoleum with a lot of the family being buried in this same common mausoleum. You can see that the outside blocks that are onto it here have been well shaped. And of course, if you think of something built in the 1830s and so on, you would think that it was built fantastically, but just as much as some of the old pyramids were in their stonework. And we of course looked at not pyramids, but a lot of other stonework in ancient times with their geometric shapes and things like that are also very revealing that these people apparently could do it any way that they wanted to. But this one here is a 9-meter tall replica of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and Richard Wesley Bernard visited Egypt way back in the early 19th century, and he likely got inspiration from his tomb and his trip and things that he found out about heritage and so on like that, and so he ended up making a pyramid for his family in the mausoleum, originally for him, which would have been grandpa and great-grandpa to the people who were all associated with this. There's a door that's on it here that's been put on, but here's another look at it, and I question anybody to deny that that's a pyramid. But that's not the only one that's been found here, and so there's a couple of them. One known as the Boora Pyramid. Yeah, and it's found in the La Boora Discovery Park that's been found there, and I guess with its discovery it shows it. It's well worn down and it's not perfectly made in the way like that, but it does look a lot like that one that I showed you that was made in Australia, and then they have hieroglyphics near it and all these other connections showing you that the Egyptians perhaps went around a little farther than we would think in a modern time. Of course, that's probably because everybody choked out the idea of early boating. I mean, whenever I was a kid, they had the idea that Noah had the first boat or something, and that nobody had a boat that was seaworthy until well after, whenever we can just look at pictures and go, that's a seaworthy boat right there. In fact, Thor Heyerdahl took a reed boat like the ancient Sumerians and Egyptians did, and took it all the way across the Atlantic with the Kon-Tiki expeditions that he did, really proving that it was possible, even if you're not using a straight wooden boat and all those type of things, you could actually make it on a boat that was made out of reeds. This Boora pyramid here, though, has been found, and it's really not too far away from the other one, and not too large. It's 8 meters wide, 6 meters tall, so it's a little smaller or whatever. And Eileen McDonough, assisted by Mark Wouters from Belgium, looked through this and saw what it was, and it tabulated it and documented it. And again, it's not too far away. You know, they're some 13 kilometers apart, or a little over 6 miles apart, so not too far apart. And if we saw that in ancient days, we would think one thing, but why would we think so different in a more modern time? So again, pyramids are all over the world, and it would be an awfully good idea to take and look into this for yourself. The only real place that there aren't any pyramids found is in Western Sub-Saharan Africa, and ironically, that's the people who keep trying to claim that they built the Egyptian pyramids, and they were the Caucasian Egyptians and not themselves, which is of course extremely self-exposing. But if you think that's it, or the idea they wanted to claim Cleopatra lately, who is actually of course a Macedonian queen from the time of Ptolemy after Alexander the Great, which apparently they weren't well aware of, because that makes that an impossibility. But they tried to release it as a documentary showing you the Egyptians were a Bantu people somehow, and so was Cleopatra. In fact, Ptolemy in the movie, or documentary as they tried to call it, was also that. All of that's of course well attested to as being a falsehood, and just jealousy run rampant. Anyhow, I just thought I'd show you that even Ireland has a couple of pyramids on it too. I think we're at like 19 pyramids, and that's with throwing out all of the Chinese pyramids, because when CFAP's Chuck's channel was online before he passed away a couple of years ago, not too long before that, he just took Google Maps and went on through there and found a river valley and started counting, and I think he got to 212 of them. And of course, that's not the only place in an area that we call China today that wasn't China in the ancient of times that has pyramids. Ironically, also, people overlook all of the Ziggurats that are in the Fertile Crescent and in the ancient Sumerian lands. It's not quite the same as a pyramid, but I think what we're doing here is comparing apples to oranges, are really just variations on a theme. And when people look at the Great Pyramid and say, well, it doesn't look like that. No, it doesn't. They had temples on top, things like that, and quite different built structure to them. But they both started with mastabas. In fact, Sumerians had mastabas before Egypt. Got a video coming out about that now too. It'll probably come before this one, but I don't know how it's going to lay out, guys. But let me know what you think. Great Irish Pyramids of Offally. Let me know what you think. Peace.